Welcome to another episode of the Purple Cow podcast. Today, we're thrilled to have Michael Jalbert, the CEO of Forbes Global Properties, a global expert who spent his entire career navigating the world's most prestigious luxury real estate markets. Michael brings a rare blend of deep industry insights and fascinating stories, thanks to his unique position at the intersection of top-tier brokerages around the globe. In our conversation today, we explore which global markets are rising as tomorrow's luxury hotspots and which traditional powerhouses might be cooling off. We delve into what's setting certain cities apart, examine surprising trends, and many more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this engaging conversation with Michael Jalbert. Welcome. I have Michael Jalbert today, who's the CEO of Forbes Global Properties. Michael's been in the real estate industry for over 20 years, has championed the luxury markets for many, many years. Today we have a very interesting perspective on global markets, talking about how real estate fared and the luxury real estate market fared in other markets outside of, we're in Dubai, we're very consumed in Dubai and what's happening here. So it's good to see that broader view from you, Michael. So thank you for coming in on the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here, Abdullah.
Great. Michael, my first question is related to exactly what I just mentioned. We see, we're so consumed in Dubai. It's so fast paced, and thankfully it has done great over the last few years post COVID. So we don't really see what's happening in the real estate market abroad, specifically in the luxury segment of the market. Outside of Dubai, where do you see any emerging markets, emerging countries or cities where you're seeing similar trends to what's happening here?
That's a great question, Abdullah. I think I'd start with, I think Dubai is unique. I could name other regions or countries where they've had spikes in real growth, but I don't think anything to the scale of what we've seen in Dubai. Places like that would be some of the Balkan states, Croatia, Montenegro, even Greece. Really great growth. We see some really wonderful things going on in places like Portugal. And then the Americas, there's the consistent hotspots. Florida's doing great. Southern California is still very, very strong despite politics, weather, and everything else going on. But nothing compares to what Dubai has experienced from my perspective.
Okay, that's always great to hear. But yeah, I can echo that. I've been to the Balkan region last summer and then again in October, and there was a lot happening there, whether it's Montenegro, Croatia, Serbia as well. I don't know what's happening now in Serbia with the protests and so on, but certainly was a market to follow and look at. Portugal, I've had the pleasure of meeting you there last summer, and I've seen also what's happening in that market, especially in the luxury side.
Yes.
Michael, on the flip side of that, are there any, let's say, well-established markets that have now seen a decline in activity in the luxury segment from your perspective, from where you see it, both in terms of, let's say, transaction value and volume, as well as maybe price declines?
There are examples of those markets, Abdullah. I think probably the one that shines the brightest is Germany.
Okay.
I think Germany's got some fundamental economic issues that are affecting all strata of the business. And clearly that includes the high net worth and ultra high net worth strata. I would tell you that I think that there's still a bit of a COVID hangover in some markets, and primarily because there were so many transactions during COVID that it really sucked up a lot of future inventory. So the markets are challenged not for the economic or political reasons like in Germany, but because there's just no inventory. Mm-hmm. And there are markets that are really struggling to get through that bubble. Mm-hmm. I would tell you that, having said that, the majority of the markets, because we've talked about extremes, right. Dubai extreme, Germany extreme, the majority of the markets in the high net worth and ultra high net worth strata stay very consistent. to some extent, there's an immunity factor to broader macroeconomic issues because of the nature of the financial capability of those clients.
Okay.
So if people want to be in Southern California, they're going to Southern California. People want to be in Miami, they go to Miami.
Right.
And they are going to both of those markets in a big way. Probably the last one I would talk about as a real positive shift is Texas is really doing very, very well.
Okay.
The politics and the economics of that market have really opened it up. Another one that I would stay away from right now, again, because of political issues as much as anything, is China. China is very challenged. They're challenged with their economy, unemployment, geopolitical issues. So yes, there are absolutely markets where things are going on great and other markets are dwindling.
It's great that you mentioned China. In fact, we've been having this debate internally as well. China is obviously a huge market and a massive economy, and the middle class have been actually until sometime last year, the middle class have been thriving. We now see, like you said, the real estate market being challenged. The middle class also starting to afford less. And a period of deflation as well. So all of these challenges are difficult and probably tough to swallow, especially for an international investor looking to buy in the luxury segment. We've also seen the Chinese consumer, especially in the luxury segment, has always been up there in every headline. LVMH has indefinitely postponed opening some of their key locations in Beijing because of that drawback in demand or pullback in demand from the Chinese consumer. Where we're starting to see or think is it facing Japan's fate, that lost decade from the 1990s, where they've grown so much, and then a series of decisions on both fiscal and monetary policy have kind of challenged that view. Do you see that from your perspective in the US looking into Asia?
I would be cautious as to put a time frame on what we expect, but I absolutely agree with the characterization of what they're going through.
Yeah.
And it's a massive ship that's got to get turned in China when you've got such high unemployment with all the other political and economic factors. That's a tough thing to get correct.
Right.
And until they do, I think there's going to be caution about the market. Could be 5 years, could be 5 years.
Right.
Could it be 10 years? Could be 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it could be more. We've seen more in Japan.
But they've got challenges that they're going through. And as a result, we're cautious about the market. We're pretty bullish on Hong Kong. We're very bullish on places like Singapore. Japan is really coming on strong.
Right.
But China, we're cautious about.
Makes sense. Thank you, Michael. I know you spent a lot of time in London, and I'm curious about what you're seeing on the ground in the luxury segment in London. Again, I see a lot of headlines on Bloomberg about the luxury market in London suffering, the bid-ask spread spreading, and kind of widening. What are you seeing?
London's gone through such growth, price point wise, over the last decade, to the point where many of the markets were, it cost £2 million to buy a 2-bedroom flat. You would not have believed it 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I think something that can't be ignored is there's a political imbalance right now that seems to be uneasy about what the future is, tax rates, etc. And specifically in April, just next month, UK citizens are going to be taxed on their global income.
Yeah.
That's a major shift.
Yeah.
And for many of the high net worth and ultra high net worth citizens who don't have to live in the UK, they're moving out. And they have moved out because they've seen it coming for a period of months or years. And I think that's having an impact on the market without question.
100%. I mean, we're seeing them here in Dubai firsthand. I think it's one of their obvious localities or choices to move to because of the new non-dom regulations and the tax regime. So you're absolutely on point. It would be good to see if that also has knock-on effects on the luxury real estate market there. But yeah, I tend to agree with that. Michael, another thing,
Having said that,
yeah,
many companies that I know in 24 had a better year than they did in 23.
Okay.
So it's a relative point.
Right.
London's not going out of business.
Of course.
But they've got some things that are headwinds.
Yeah. Given all of these dynamics, are you noticing any characteristics or trends that drive a certain demand to a certain market, from at least from a luxury buyer's perspective?
There seems to be a flock towards tax-friendly destinations.
Okay.
No question about that. Major shift from California to Florida in the States. Major shift from the UK to Dubai, Europe to Middle East. I think the tax base has a big influence on it. Some of it is political. There are certain members of the high net worth and ultra high net worth strata that are fleeing the political environment they're in, and I won't take sides. There are people in blue states that want to get out and go to red, and there are folks that are doing the reverse. Some of the recent trends, whether it's green energy, electric cars, getting rid of certain kinds of heaters in houses.
Yep.
You got to do something to your washing machine. That's driving folks to make changes as well. There's a certain level of freedom at the high net worth and ultra high net worth strata where you may say you appreciate supporting the planet, but when it comes to your lifestyle, you don't want to be told what to do.
Right.
And we see that very clearly.
Okay. So tax advantages and sustainability, innovative, let's say technologically advanced buildings or communities are mainly driving luxury buyers to the properties or communities they're looking at.
Yeah, and there's one other dynamic which I think is very unique, is what I would call the ultra high net worth or even the uber high net worth are worried about safety and the potential of some global calamity.
Right.
There are incredible camps being built in New Zealand by well-known global billionaires. There are same things being developed in Hawaii, which are including, multiple dwellings, standalone hospital, educational facility, and they're really building, almost like what if the world melts down kind of a place. And the billionaire population has certainly made an investment, and it's pretty extraordinary to watch when you see that.
Very interesting. Okay, I agree with safety, and we're I think we're seeing that here because of we're seeing the flight to not just safety and being a tax haven, and also into sustainable communities, and there's that notion of Dubai being a lot more safe and secure than many other cities around the world, and that's where we see a lot of people coming in from Europe and other continents. But yeah, I think like you said, safety is a very important factor. Michael, today, in your opinion, which cities are setting the gold standard in terms of livability and luxury living? Which cities are standing out, and what are they doing really to stand out in this competitive market globally, where ultra high net worth individuals are shifting places and thinking of their next destination and so on?
Well, that's a really interesting question, Abdullah. Let me think about this. I think some of the top performing cities or even countries are doing well. A big part of why they're doing well is the basics. candidly, I think of Portugal. Portugal is the third safest country on the planet. Today, especially in the high net worth and ultra high net worth strata, safety is a big concern. They've also created incredible infrastructure in Portugal with the investment from the EU over the last couple of decades.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure in Portugal is not only almost new, but it's great. And then you've got the developers that are building wonderful homes that really appeal to that high net worth and ultra high net worth strata.
Yeah.
So I have to put Portugal at least on the list of places that are really doing a great job, and we're seeing them enjoy expanding even things like airline routes as a result of how well the country's doing,
Right.
to further the ease of East Coast Americans getting to Portugal that have wealth to access the properties they bought.
Yeah.
Places like Croatia, believe it or not,
Okay.
are really setting themselves apart. It's an amazingly beautiful place,
That it is.
pristine coastline, beautiful properties, and they're improving their transportation capability. So that has big appeal. And even places like Montenegro are doing the same. A market that we're not in, that I'd love to be in, that I think is really doing well, is Thailand, especially in southern Thailand, Phuket, the islands. Just incredible appeal. And there's a lot of money in Asia and Southeast Asia, and they're looking for that second and third property, and that's a big destination right now. And then the markets that just frankly just continue to roll.
Yeah.
Beverly Hills, Miami, Monaco, Marbella. But then there are places like Madrid
Yeah.
that have really emerged in a way that I personally enjoy.
Yeah.
It's a walking city. The inventory of what's being built there is beautiful. The infrastructure is very solid. It's a safe country.
Yeah.
So that would be another standout as well.
Okay. I echo what you said on Thailand, and speaking of what we just talked about China, in fact, Chinese investors are flocking into Thailand and Bangkok and the islands as well.
Yes.
And mainly because they want a safe haven. They want somewhere that's close, that they can relate to, a second home or a destination. And Bangkok is really, or Thailand in general, is really benefiting out of that Chinese consumer in the middle class. And I think they're set to continue to benefit because the Chinese market's hurting, right? And they're looking to they will start to look to diversify in a market that is tourist friendly. I think Bangkok, I don't know whether it was last year or the year before, definitely pre-COVID was one of the most visited destinations in the world, and largely thanks to the Chinese.
I think it's still very high.
Yeah.
And in just Southeast Asia in general, the wealth creation that's going on in that region of the world right now is absolutely staggering. So the population of high net worth and ultra high net worth buyers and sellers is burgeoning.
Yeah.
So markets like Singapore, Thailand, they're going to do very, very well, and are.
Yeah. And to your point, Madrid as well. Madrid with the Latin Americans mainly flocking in. I think Portugal and Spain, specifically Madrid, when it comes to Spain, have similar advantages. So in Portugal, they made it very easy for a U.S. Investor, consumer, visitor, tourist to come into Portugal, play some golf, have beautiful homes, amazing scenery, great beaches. Brazilians as well because of the language. In Madrid, you're seeing the same with the Latins. You see the Mexicans, the Venezuelans, the Colombians, the Argentinians. They have that affinity to the city because of the language, its proximity, and they created that airport, the hub in Madrid. That's the most connected to Latin America.
It's amazing. It really is.
They really made it easier for these tourists and eventual buyers to make this a second home. Speaking of that, do you see, I know that, for example, the Mexicans or the Latin Americans in general, they've been huge buyers in Miami, right? Again, because of the proximity. We hear, I didn't really see data, but we hear, statements that basically say, okay, well, because Miami has gone up so much, the Latin American community, the Mexicans in particular, the wealthy Mexicans, many of them have been priced out, or they see more value in places like Madrid or Spain in general, and Miami maybe lost some of that share of Latin American purchasing power and into its property market. Do you see that at all?
It's interesting. I don't feel, from what I see, that Miami's lost any share, or South Florida in general, but I absolutely see the shift much more aggressively into Spain from South America, and Portugal.
Yeah.
We also see a big continued purchase pattern in Texas from Mexico, primarily. It's amazing how many wealthy Monterrey and Mexico City citizens, their second home is in Woodland Hills in Houston. And so that it does remain strong, especially again at that strata, at that high net worth, ultra high net worth strata. I think the biggest thing I would tell you is we've seen emerging markets that weren't quite as loud on our radar in the past. For example, to your point, the relationship between Colombia and Spain, it's staggering. How many Spanish construction and development companies are doing a lot of business in Colombia, and a lot of Colombian buyers buying in Spain.
No, I completely agree. And given this global landscape and phenomena, Michael, you and you have a very unique point of view, seeing all of these markets. In your opinion, what are the most exciting, let's say even surprising trends that you see that really matter to an ultra high net worth luxury buyer from a home buyer's perspective? Have their needs changed after COVID, maybe over the last few years? Are there interesting trends that you're seeing, or something that surprises you in the needs of a luxury buyer?
I'm going to sound like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth, Abdullah. On the one side, you see a real demand for homes that can accommodate an expanding family. You want 2 offices, you want a garden, you want a terrace, you want to be very self-sustained out in the country. Having said that, we're seeing, as we get to 18, 24 months into the post-COVID period, a lot of the people that moved to the country miss the city. And they're coming back in a huge way. They're keeping the country house, but they're coming back into reinvesting in the cities. So, but what are they investing in? Again, space, pampering, pools, spas, 2 offices. And a big part of that, I think, is the advancement in technology and to be able to be a remote worker or even a remote executive. I think that they're looking for tech-friendly homes where, whether they're at their country house or they're at their urban retreat, they want to have the space to run their business and run their life at the same time.
Okay, interesting. Just kind of follow on that. I don't know if it's a misconception or a reality, and and I think this is an interesting question to Dubai's ultra high net worth buyer. The notion of the luxury properties or high end properties being more defensive in terms of weathering economic downturns or recessions or depressions in some cases. Dubai is very, very new to this, and it's still a relatively new city. So we haven't seen many data points or trends that really, let's say, support this view. you've been in the luxury real estate market in the US for decades. How did you see the behavior of these high-end properties, let's say anything worth $10 million or more, compared to single and multifamily homes that are, let's say, $1 million or less, in terms of both transaction activity and price behavioral patterns?
It's really been nonsensical. The elasticity of what's been happening, depending on what's going on. I mean, anecdotally, I was just sitting next to an executive on a flight to Dammam yesterday. The man is the CEO and owner of a multinational company. He is of Italian descent. He lives here in the Middle East. And he bought his villa here 8 years ago because he needed to be close to some of his key customers. But he literally does business all over the world.
Okay.
And he and I got to talking. He realized I was in property. And he said, since I bought here in Dubai, my house has been worth half of what I bought. My house has been worth 3 times what I bought it at. And he said, I don't make any sense of it. I don't know why it's like that. And I guess until the day I want to sell it, I don't care. And that's an ultra high net worth gentleman's perspective. He has the house or villa he wants, where he wants, for the reason the prices have been going crazy, and he's just ignoring it. And I thought, anecdotally, that's a good soundbite.
Interesting, yes, and that's why because Dubai is so new, and I think there's a lot of fundamentals that have been changing over the past few years, and that international demand coming in that's more sticky than it ever was before, and kind of the supply demand fundamentals are more in check today. I think what would be interesting to hear from you, from your viewpoint, is how do these kinds of properties in the ultra high end segment of the market behave in other markets? Specifically in the US. Let's say, just thinking out loud, in 2008, when the financial crisis hit, a $25 million Manhattan penthouse. Has something, let's say it was worth $25 million mid-2007. What was it worth mid-2009? Were there transactions, or were these owners more, less kind of conscious of prices, or did not need to sell there, and therefore that's more defensive? What were the dynamics then?
So here's an interesting point. The economics and the macros on what happened in 08, 09 versus the pandemic. If you study it a little bit, they couldn't be more different. And let me tell you how. In 2008, when the global financial crisis hit, the average days on market inventory in a market was 18 months.
Wow.
So what does that mean? That means if they didn't build or put one more house for sale, they had enough supply to cover demand of buying for a year and a half. When the global financial crisis hit, it put so many builders out of business, literally bankrupt. And the recovery of days on market or inventory never took place because they could never keep up with the average days on market, because the builders were put out of business because of the price depression you talked about. So by the time we got to the global pandemic, everybody thought, the crisis is going to happen again. But it didn't. It actually went the other way, because the average days on market inventory was less than 60 days. And so many people wanted to demand a different kind of home setup. They wanted something in the country. They wanted the 2 offices. They wanted the garden. They wanted. They were buying up everything. So you didn't have the price fluctuation downward like in 08. You actually had it spike and go up. But then as it starts to clear out, you get 2-3 years into the pandemic where you start to get a year or 2 away from it. You've seen some flattening out. Absolutely. So I think most markets have seen an inflation level, almost a jump shift as a result of the pandemic that they never expected. And while there might be a retreat from the height of that jump shift, it's significantly higher than what it normally would have climbed at. So there seems to be a lot of confidence that, especially at the high net worth and ultra high net worth level, that property is still where you want to put your money.
Right.
And as we know, they're far less sensitive to mortgage rates because they have the cash.
Yeah.
So they're buying properties, they're investing properties, and they're feeling it's like it's the long-term investment they want. And I still remember something Warren Buffett once said, that if he could buy enough properties, he wouldn't put his money in any place else. He thinks that's the safest place to put his money. And I think that mindset is right there still, especially for the high net worth and ultra high net worth buyers and sellers.
I do remember him talking up, the defensibility of properties over the long term. And I think that's absolutely right. Now, to your point on your neighbor in the flight yesterday, the Italian gentleman. Yes, I've seen that firsthand in Dubai, right, and in the 2008 crisis, and in other periods as well, where properties command 60 cents, 50 cents on the dollar that you spent at some point, and that volatility happened, and during in the midst of the financial crisis, but it very quickly kind of turned back, and where we are today, we're at historic highs. And in terms of, have you seen something like this? Like, let's say in New York, especially when you have so much equity in a luxury property worth $20-25 million, and there's and in this segment, I guess there's much less mortgages and less debt and on these properties. So, have you seen price, a penthouse that would sell for $30 million at a certain time, sell for $20 million, 5 years later, 10 years later?
Not in a place like New York, you don't typically see that. But I don't think New York has what I would call the absorption rate challenge that Dubai has. And by that I mean, you've got a lot of land still in the Dubai Emirate. That developers go in and they make a stake and they make a significant build of villas. And that inventory, I think, affects the pricing, which I would call absorption, which is why you see some of that slide. You don't have that kind of capability to build that kind of inventory in New York, so you don't have to deal with that absorption. I mean, for us in Dubai, Dubai has grown at about 150% over the last 5 years, right? And for us living here in Dubai, we can understand the reasons why we're seeing, both anecdotally, and seeing the traffic in the streets and with data supporting population growth and the likes. Why, right? And we can understand why. But for people, sitting abroad, yourself, key industry professionals, hedge fund managers, institutional investors, REITs, perhaps sitting in the US. What, in your opinion, are the key drivers behind a growth like this? The tax rate. The weather. The ability to buy a significant property for a price and really get value, even though it's a significant price, it's significant value. I think the shift to this part of the globe, if you will, for economic growth, and Dubai to be a great jumping off position to be able to participate in those kind of businesses, meaning geographically where it's placed, certainly plays a key role in it. So I think tax rate, weather, geographic location, stable government, all play a huge piece in it. And, Dubai is a little bit like Switzerland, right? It's very neutral, and that promotes the safety, which is something that a high net worth individual wants when they think about location and purchase.
Okay, so from the outset, it does make sense.
The only thing that doesn't make sense to me, this might be me just being a smart guy. I love when I sit here and I ask a local or a person that lives
Yeah.
here, why Dubai?
Yeah.
And they say, we're the center of the world.
Yeah.
And I said, well, tell me how you're the center of the world. Well, it's only 8 hours to London. It's only 8 hours to Japan. And I said, well, if you're 8 hours from anywhere, you're not in the middle.
Yeah.
but that's just anecdotal.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
Well, yeah.
actually, the East meets West positioning of Dubai makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, yeah, and in fact, they've created a hub that's now the largest in the world. The most trafficked airport because of that.
It's enormous.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's and it's about to get more enormous.
Yes, yes.
So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, and the connectivity is great, and I think that's a lot of us living here in Dubai. We take this for granted, right? We say, okay, well, it's easy for us to, there's probably maybe 20 flights taking you to the UK every day between Emirates, between British Airways and other airlines and other airports that are half an hour away, right?
And the gentleman I spoke about earlier,
Yeah.
that was number 2 on his list.
Yeah, yeah.
The capability to get on a direct flight from
by
Dubai
going to the airport.
to all these places around
Yeah.
the world I need to get to.
Yeah, and the funny thing, and why do we take this for granted? I think it was last summer or the summer before. I'm in Europe, and you'd think that Europe is very well connected, and 2 major cities. You'd think, Nice and Milan, they're major cities in Europe, right? I want to go from Nice to Milan. I don't want to drive for 6 hours. I want to take a flight. Can you imagine, that was last summer or the summer before that? And I think until today, there's maybe 1 or 2 direct EasyJet flights a week. Yes. Not a day, a week. And these are major cities.
And it's EasyJet.
And it's EasyJet, exactly.
Exactly.
So then you'll be forced to take a car and drive for 5.5, 6 hours between two European major cities.
Well, again, that's part of, I think, the magic of Dubai.
Yeah.
You've got the government, you've got the infrastructure, you've got the airline. When you think about Italy and Air Italia, which is now gone out, which is why those flights are gone.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes an impact on people when they want to decide, where do I want to live? What kind of resources am I looking to make sure are part of there to support me?
Yeah,
you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So we do take this thing for granted, but it is very, very, very useful and very valuable to us living here in Dubai. Michael, at Forbes Global Properties, you have access to the most extraordinary homes in the world.
Yes.
In your opinion, what makes a property so exceptional? Is it its location, the design, the story behind it? Is it anything else?
Boy, there's so many categories that you could tick through.
Yeah.
First and foremost, it's got to be a beautiful property.
Yeah.
One that is visually appealing and one that fits the geographic setting that it's in. Mm-hmm. A city home in London, a country home in the mountains of Montana, a village here in Dubai, what actually fits the topography. Mm-hmm. And it's typically, frankly, having creature comforts.
Yeah.
Creature comforts for that geography, whether it's land or urban space or beautiful finishings, the extra touch of really allowing the people that can live in that house to truly enjoy living in the property. What are the things they need to enjoy in that geography? Mm-hmm. But really what we're looking for is beautiful properties to look at in a setting that's well maintained, safe. But there are so many extraordinary different extremes.
Yeah.
Whether it's the $200 million property for sale on the Sydney Harbor Wingdale, which is amazing.
Yeah.
To the, $200 million penthouse for sale on Fifth Avenue in New York. To the 1,000-acre ranch for sale in Whitefish, Montana.
Yeah.
I mean, they're so different.
Yeah.
And then you go to New Zealand and you buy something that's hundreds and hundreds of hectares with mountains and streams and fish and cabins. And so it's amazing. There's
that's true.
Such a portfolio.
Yeah. You can get different value pockets from different destinations.
Right.
And they're completely different, like you said. Again, Michael, and this is maybe a more fun thing to ask. The most unusual, or let's say surprising, request that you got from a luxury home buyer?
Oh boy. Can I tell you one from a luxury home seller?
Yes. Let's start with that.
So we have a home that's selling for many tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And they want us to sell it. They believe in what we can do. We can't take a picture inside the house. And we can't take a picture because they have such valuable artwork that they don't want to reveal what's there. So we're trying to sell this uber expensive home, and we can't show to people that want to buy it what it looks like. And we're figuring it out, and we're making it work, and we're getting traffic.
Wow.
So that was a wild one.
Wow. Okay, without pictures. Anything that you can remember coming from a buyer?
They typically want something that just doesn't match with the house.
Yeah.
Does it come with a jet? No.
That's true. Okay. Michael, Forbes Global Properties showcases some of the most stunning properties in the world. If you had to just pick one to live in yourself, or to the best one, the most beautiful one, which one would that be?
Oh boy.
And where is it?
That is a really, really tough one.
I know I know there are a lot of stunning homes.
Yes. I would probably buy one of the villas that we have for sale, either in the countryside of Paris or France, or the countryside of Tuscany.
Okay.
That would have real appeal to me.
Yeah.
Not far from a beautiful urban center.
Yeah.
But just incredible, rich history, beautiful weather.
Yeah. I know that the Gucci estate is listed with Chiara at
it's still for sale in Rome.
Still for sale.
Yes, in fact,
would that foot the bill for you?
You know what? I think it could work.
Why not?
Actually, that's a lovely. Yeah. Some of the things that we've got in France are just stunning.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, I'd love to try a bunch of them.
Yeah.
I'd love to try some of the things we've got oceanfront in Florida.
Yeah, well, you and I both. So.
Some of the things we've got for sale in Beverly Hills are just drop dead gorgeous. Again, the raw beauty of places like Whitefish, Montana, are just incredible.
Yeah.
So can I have 3 or 4 of them?
Yes.
I'll just kind of rotate through.
Why not? Yeah. one week.
Exactly.
1 week a place every month.
That would work for me.
Why not? Yeah. Michael, what's the biggest misconception about luxury real estate brokers and the market in the world?
One of the most important things about what you need to be an effective real estate professional with high net worth and ultra high net worth buyers and sellers is to realize that they have to trust you. It's not just that I get a property I want to get in front of you. It's you have to have real relationships with these people. They have to trust you. And there were 3 levels of what I like to call the transaction when you're dealing with the high net worth and ultra high net worth buyer and seller. One is you have to have a relationship with them. A relationship can take a month, a relationship could take 10 years, but it takes what it takes. Only once you have that relationship will they ask you for advice. Now you've become a trusted advisor. Only once you're a trusted advisor will you then be asked to help them handle the transaction. So I think the magic of being an effective real estate professional with this strata is to have real experience, real relationships, and real capability. In fact, I would offer, if I may, that you have an incredible book of clients and business here in Dubai, Abdullah. And obviously, many of your clients buy and sell properties in the far-flung corners of the world. And you have Forbes Global Properties colleagues that are in those locations that can take care of your client when they're there. And the dynamic of this point is, as we continue to select companies to be part of Forbes Global Properties and maintain the ones that are, we want to make sure that we maintain the highest possible standard of capability and cultural fit for those member companies, because I want you to have 100% plus confidence that not only does that broker in Hong Kong or London or Beverly Hills want to take care of your client, but that they can. That to me is the magic.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Michael, speaking of, you touched on it, the culture bit. With so many brokerages in your network, what are some cultural differences that you see, both in terms of what buyers want or what buyers look for in a home, and in terms of how brokerages work with one another? You've dealt with brokerages in Europe and Latin America and Asia and New Zealand. What are the trends there?
It's interesting. I was speaking to a broker just 2 days ago about this, and they are having a very successful, I say, last half the decade in terms of their positioning and their performance as a brokerage. And the broker owner and I were talking, and she said to me, we do better the more discerning I get with who I allow to work in this brokerage. I don't allow people that don't know what they're doing. I make sure that people have experience, a track record, and they want to be a team player. They want to play the way we want them to behave, meaning highest ethical standards, be a good teammate, and we will develop tools and support for you once you're here to make your job as easy as possible. But you got to bring experience, and you got to bring a bit of humility to really want to fit in here. I have seen that model work around the world consistently. But one of the most powerful things that those broker owners do is when they ask somebody who's not behaving well to leave, the message it sends to the rest of the members of the team, as well as the community, because in the real estate world, as you know, it's a pretty transparent community.
And it is small.
If they see that Abdullah doesn't put up with that person, bad behavior, that's probably a place I want to work.
Yeah.
That's probably a team I want to be part of. So it's about having the right leadership in each of these brokerages, setting the standard, how to make sure they're delivering outstanding service, and candidly, don't be afraid to say no to people that don't fit. And the more they say no, the longer the line gets for people that want to get in, because that's where they want to be.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's this way. High-performing real estate professionals, the number one thing they want at the company they work for is to be surrounded by other high-performing professionals.
Yeah.
They want to, that's the environment they want. They don't want to be around a bunch of people that don't understand the business. They don't want to be around a bunch of people that are asking them how to do silly, simple things. They want people that they can learn from, feed off, and improve their own performance.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like a sports team.
Yeah, absolutely right.
If you're the point guard, you want to make sure the center knows what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And God forbid the coach doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But if you get the right folks, the right chemistry, that's what people are looking for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And to that, I think some of the most successful, whether it's individuals or corporates, have thrived because of their team dynamic or how they work with teams and with one another, and that's apparent here and I think all around the world. I gotta ask you this, Michael. It's timely now. So tariffs and what's happening around the U.S. administration and its knock-on effects in other countries. Is that the kind of the last straw to U.S. exceptionalism that has kind of led the world economy for the last few years? And do you see an impact in the real estate market? Do you see any indicators that are that there's some kind of fear? We've seen it in how the stock market's behaving, the bond market's behaving over the past few weeks. Sure. And we've seen what's happening on in the tech world and the so-called Magnificent Seven. Do you see any knock-on effects in the real estate market? Are you seeing some kind of anxiety? surrounding property?
I think it would be naive to say no. I think we definitely see anxiety. We hear the noise, and it's a major shift from where we were. Having said that, I think if you take a step back and you try and look at what are the realities of what's trying to be accomplished, for example, you're not allowed to sell American-made cars in Europe. Yet, Europeans sell cars all day long in America. That's a trade position. That's a decision that was made. And there's an attempt to balance that imbalance with, no, if you're going to do this, then we need to do that. Part of what we have here is some personality, Abdullah, that I think skews the messaging. You know, back when my mom used to tell me it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter what you're saying, if how you're saying it is a certain way, people can't hear what you're saying. So I think we've got some of that going on. I think we also have a power base that's becoming disenfranchised, and they don't know how to do anything other than to scream that you must be a really bad person because I'm being disenfranchised.
Yeah.
As opposed to dealing with the reality of the shift or the change of what needs to happen. So I think we've got to give it some time to let the noise come out of it and then see how it needs to work. And then I think it'll find a balance in a way that will be very healthy. I mean, for the first time ever, the EU just appointed a Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
How long has the EU been around?
Yeah. But more than 25 years now.
Yeah. And they've never had somebody in charge of defense.
Yeah.
And that's because there's been a little bit of a wake-up call that says, no.
Yeah.
You got to pull your weight too. It's not that we're going away, but there's two oars in this boat for a reason. You got to tug on one and I'll tug on the other one.
Yeah.
It would be the way I'd characterize it.
Yeah.
So again, but it's thrown a little bit off by it's not just what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
So I think it's creating some very interesting theater right now.
Absolutely, yeah. And the good thing with real estate as well is that, you know, it's not so liquid, it's not so in front of you on a screen where you see prices fluctuate. You know, it lags in terms of how it performs. So you'll maybe see some data next month or the month after, and they say, oh, okay, that actually coincides with what was happening during that time. And to your point, I think Europe, Germany in particular, is doing a lot of things now with a large defense bill that they spend in defense and infrastructure that will aid that fiscal stimulus to Europe and you know, kind of balance that game. But to your point, you're absolutely right. I like that you know, how you framed it as it's not what you say, it's how you say it, because it makes sense. But it maybe wasn't said.
A little pugnacious, a little bit in your face.
Yeah.
Did I say a little bit?
I'd say more than just a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
But do you see any you know, noise surrounding what's happening in the luxury market, or is it just general?
I do not see any. I don't hear any noise about how that's impacting the luxury market. I think the only things I hear about are, you know, people being sensitive about change in a way that they think is insulting or aggressive, without recognizing, okay, but what are we trying to accomplish with that? What's perhaps out of balance? Can we have a conversation about that? They're more like, well, you're my friend. How can you tell me that?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second. I'm your friend, but don't take advantage of me. I don't always have to pick up the bill when we go have dinner.
Yeah, that makes sense. Michael, I'd say a final question, and I think I should have asked it earlier on. Forbes is such a massive brand, and it's known for its association with luxury and the high net worth market, be it in business and media and property and every aspect, in yachts and motors and the likes. What's the relationship between Forbes and Forbes Global Properties? How does that work?
Sure. Forbes is one of our shareholders.
Okay.
One of our owners. They sit on our board. They license us the name.
Yeah.
And we have that name in perpetuity, meaning forever. So we are Forbes's foray into residential real estate. The way they've happened to do it is they partnered with some very well-known, experienced brokers because they wanted that steady hand on the business model. But yeah, I mean, I talk to the president of Forbes once a week.
Okay.
We're texting probably 2 or 3 times a week, working on things together.
Amazing.
We're key to them, they're key to us. So yeah, we are very much a Forbes company.
And Forbes Global Properties has been around since 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
We launched at the chaotic time of December 2020.
Yeah.
So we've just passed our 4-year, anniversary. But despite that chaos, we find ourselves in 27 countries with 600 offices, about 20,000 agents working out of our broker member companies. So we've got a significant footprint. But I want to also point out that our objective is not to be the largest real estate network. Our North Star is we want to be where high net worth and ultra high net worth buyers and sellers want to transact property.
Right.
That's where we want to be. But we won't go there until we find the best possible local broker member to represent us there. So there are markets that we'll never go to. There are other markets where we'd love to be today that we're not, but we haven't found the right company, and we won't go until we do.
Amazing. How does the ethos and the thesis and the culture of Forbes Global Properties compare to perhaps other networks, let's say the Christie's of the world, the leading real estate company of the world, the luxury portfolio, and the likes?
I think the brilliance of Forbes Global Properties is the ownership group. As I said earlier, Forbes is one of our shareholders. They sit on our board. But the other half dozen or so shareholders are broker owners, just like you, Abdullah. They run operating brokerage businesses, and the objective they have is how do we put together an offering that I'm obviously tasked to bring to life that makes this a network that facilitates great support to your network members, your fellow networks. So again, it's quality of selection, who gets to be part of the network, and then focus on what it is we do here. We have an incredible brand. We set ourselves apart by creating great content, working off our media roots. We have outstanding support marketing. We've got great PR, but we don't get into things like, hey, here's a CRM you should use. We did a contract with a third party. You're going to love it. Or here's some other platform. We did a contract with a third party. Please use it. That's where I think other networks get derailed. In fact, the average adoption for those third-party alliance deals is outstanding. Adoption is high teens. Normal adoption is less than 5%. So it's a lot of money spent on things that broker owners don't want. There was another point I was going to make, Abdullah. We're privately held. We don't have a false report card that comes out every 90 days that we got to tell the public market what we did or didn't do. So we can really make the right decisions, do the right things for the right reasons. And I think at the end of the day, it's to make sure that our broker member like you feel like you're part of something you want to be part of, they get the support you need, and this brand delivers to you exactly what the promise is, which is the value of what you and your team have to offer. That's what this brand supports.
Amazing. That ticks all the boxes for me. Michael, I have so many questions, so many more questions. But I think we'll leave it at that. And hopefully we will see you again with a series of more questions. And thank you so much for being part of this. It's been an honor having you here. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of your stay in Dubai. And we'll see you here back soon.
Always a pleasure, Abdullah. Thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.